What's good, everybody? Welcome back to No Sega for Old Men. As you know, I'm Marz Eternal, and as always, I'm joined with my co-host,
Queasy C.
Queasy C. See, we got the new name. And, there's a very joyous occasion, okay? It is the 1 year anniversary of No Sega for Old Men. Kind of. But no, as you know, I mean, we started this podcast late last year, early this year, as a way to cover the Sega announcements from the Game Awards last year, where they announced 5 games, 6 games, 5
games, Sega's new era.
Yeah, the whole new era, and then we went this entire year without getting a single drop of official news about any of it, right?
Yeah, so in true Sega fashion.
Exactly. I mean, I've been a Sega fan. I mean, I've legitimately been a Sega fan since 1993. I could not have expected that they would announce 5 games and then not give a single ounce of news on even one of them within a year.
Yeah. I mean, the only updates we got there were some pictures, some like flashes of 5 seconds of gameplay maybe on Shinobi or something.
Yeah,
like that.
And all of that was like technically leaks or like not real news, but like apparently some stuff they showed investors and then it got leaked, or just straight up leaked Shinobi footage. Like no actual. I mean, can we get a damn trailer?
Right. So, you have to excuse us for not having episodes every week or something because
that was...
What could we possibly talk about?
Exactly. And so, we do have a couple of side episodes, No Sega for Old Men Gaiden, if you will. We do have a couple of side episodes. You'll hopefully you've already heard them, right? If you're, a subscribed fan, they should be uploaded before this one, but if not, they may just get uploaded randomly. We may double up some things. Who knows, right? Because we're old men. We don't remember what the hell we talk about, especially when we're talking about stuff, honestly, out of our ass, right? Because Sega didn't give us any news, right?
Exactly.
But with that being said, we finally actually do have some news we would like to cover because of some recent Sega announcements, some recent Sega decisions, and the upcoming Game Awards, because it's already been a year and we're back, so we're at least expecting to see something there. Could you imagine if we did not? Boy.
Oh yeah. Well, so yeah, I mean, we're gonna do a follow-up episode after the TGA is over, and if there is no news, then that might be an angry episode.
I was about to say it might be a follow up, or it just might be the season finale. Who knows?
It might be fueled with some vodka or something like that. We'll see.
Honestly, So yeah, but
Russian standard.
I mean, look, because come on, Sega, come on, we're old. I know there's no Sega for us, but we meant that, figuratively. Damn.
Yeah, that's right, friendo.
Is that what we call them now?
Yeah, the friendos.
Well, I guess, but before we hop into it, Queasy, did you have any announcements or, new Sega milestones? Did you get a new
Sega
license?
milestones. I mean, I guess, I never really touched on it in this series, but so the first episode, I was all clowning Crazy Taxi, oh, stupid game, dumb game, moronic game. Why would they come out with this game when Grand Theft Auto's out? But then, I just started playing it randomly, and it's awesome. I love Crazy Taxi.
Well,
I got deep into it. I was getting the crazy license, trying to go doing half-hour games, going for $20,000. So yeah, it's an awesome game. I'm excited for the new one. I'm excited for the Crazy Taxi fans to rise out of the ashes.
That big fan base going to Crazy Taxi Con. Everybody pulls up in taxis, dressed up as BD Joe. No, I mean, that's kind of the thing. I feel like I've had more appreciation for Sega in a lot of ways as I've gotten older because of the simplicity or arcade nature of their games. They're so easy to pick up and play. Problem with a lot of games today is, you turn them on and there's more menus than you have minutes. And so there's nothing you can do.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, so, well, the first big announcement, and probably the biggest thing that we will actually talk about in this podcast is that Sega has brought back Takenobu Mitsuyoshi. Yeah, that's the biggest Sega news I've ever heard in my life. And I'm like halfway not joking. But no, really what they did was they announced the trailer for Virtua Fighter 5 REVO. And he happens to be singing the song. If you don't know who he is, he's the Daytona USA guy, right? If you're a Sega fan, I'm hoping you know that. But he's the guy that sang Daytona USA. He sang one of the versions of one of the Burning Ranger songs. He's got that ridiculous, basically. I mean, I don't want to call it he's like I don't know. I guess he's a good singer.
He sings in English. He sings in English.
Yeah, he sings in English, I don't want to call him a joke singer or a bad singer, but I'll let you listen to the songs.
Oh, he's got a big epic voice.
Right, yeah. That's the way to put it, a big epic voice, But no, I mean in all seriousness, what they brought back Virtua Fighter 5 again, right? We could criticize it, but at the end of the day, hey, we got Virtua Fighter. So they're putting Virtua Fighter 5. What is it called now? Final Showdown. They're putting that one, or Ultimate Showdown.
Yeah, or Ultimate.
Ultimate Showdown.
Ultimate Final. Yeah.
Right. Such and such. They're putting it on PC. Sounds like it'll have rollback. There was no announcement for crossplay, but I mean, I feel like it should have it. And I mean, that's basically what it was. So a lot of people were thinking it's just Virtua Fighter 5 again. It's time to move on. But it has totally new branding. Right? They've never changed that, cursive script font of the Virtua Fighter logo. They've changed its color. They've kind of changed the GFX on the font, made it look different, but they've never actually changed it. So this is the first time they've ever changed it. I've seen Sega do dumb shit like, announce games for a year and not say nothing else. But still, I'd like to believe that they have some sense and would not do a total branding rehaul for a fourth major update of a game. Right, which actually isn't even an update. It's really just a re-release on a different system. So, because of that, I think that although we got this, VF6 is surely still coming. And hopefully we see it at the Game Awards, and we'll get to that. But, Quizzy, I'll let you say your piece on REVO.
Yeah, I mean, this comes on the heels of there was, some Sega exec that made some comments in an interview about, all these games are in development, and he mentioned that there was a Virtua Fighter game in development, and shortly thereafter, of course, the internet blew up, and then shortly thereafter, REVO was announced, and again, in true Sega fashion, it's like, you get everyone hype, and then you have a way of kind of, I won't say like dampening it, but it's like you throw something out that kind of confuses people, because now people are wondering, well, was it this all along, or were you talking about a VF6? There's no clear answer, So, I mean, as you detailed there, I would hope and expect that this is not what he was referring to when he said there's a Virtua Fighter in development, because, I mean, how much development would this really need outside of getting it to run on Steam and rollback and all of that?
Right.
And the new, a newish updated logo. But, in episode 2, I made the claim that there would never be another Virtua Fighter. There would never be a Virtua Fighter 6. And I hope that's inaccurate. I hope that there is an announcement very soon. But as of right now, it still stands. It still stands, and I'm not going to back off of that. I'm not going to back off of that. I really hope there is a VF6, but I don't think there's going to be.
Damn. I mean, yeah, I mean, so yeah, I guess I'll just stand in straight opposition to that one because, and really, and it's not because I'm saying that's a bad opinion or anything like that. Nothing like that because I feel like that makes a lot of sense, right? It's Sega. We've even now, as we thought they were back and doing normal things, they're doing ridiculous stuff. So, but my thing is like that branding, and so hopefully we get to see it. But if you're right, it honestly, unfortunately, would not be a surprise.
Yeah, I mean it's hanging on by a thread right now. I think all signs point to something, but I just don't know what that something is. I mean, I hope it's VF6, but I would not be surprised if it's just a VF collection or something like that, or some weird side thing that we haven't even thought of yet.
Virtual Quest 2. You guys remember Virtual Quest? Probably not.
Virtual Quest 2.
No, you'll probably be correct in that what they'll do is just do a full-blown remake of Virtua Fighter 1. So it's not a new Virtua Fighter, and it just disappoints everybody because there's only 8 characters, And so, yeah.
It's like free to play or something.
Exactly. Free to play Virtua Fighter 1, only in Japanese arcades, So, something, But, well, with that being said, I know, Queasy, that you think that you're still going strong with there won't be a Virtua Fighter. So I not only think that there will be another Virtua Fighter, but I also think that we will, in some way, shape, or form, get Virtua Fighter or Sega. By Sega, what I basically mean is a Yakuza character and Tekken as the last character. Now, I'm going to have to venture off into non-Sega here for a quick second, but just to give some background on this. A few years back, there was like this, I had seen some news about this fighting game developer, summit, in Japan. And I'm actually trying to remember exactly when that even was, but it was like all of them had apparently got together or something. And done some things, and and I'm even looking at it now. Yeah, they had even done a fighting game dev roundtable. I see it in 2022. So I think they had met a few times. Clearly, Mortal Kombat was not there, right? But everybody else was. Tekken, Virtua Fighter, Guilty Gear, King of Fighters, Street Fighter, right? All the big dogs. So within that time, within these kind of recent time frames, we've seen, when it comes to Sega, we did get some Tekken content in Virtua Fighter, right? Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown, they did like some Tekken skins and a whole Tekken, like a whole like UI skin and costumes. We're basically in this ridiculous Capcom and SNK era where you have Terry Bogard and Mai in Street Fighter. You have, I think, Ryu and Chun-Li coming up in Fatal Fury. We have Capcom vs. SNK coming back in a collection. We had SVC Chaos already released from SNK. So they're clearly working together, right? And since Harada, the Tekken producer, has been so vocal about Virtua Fighter, since they've already done some connections with putting Tekken stuff in Virtua Fighter, I think that this final Tekken character is going to be a Sega-related character. And so they already put out a little message saying that the character won't be announced, I guess, at the end of the Tekken World Tour that's going on right now. So it sounds like it'll be at the Game Awards, which lines up with Sega making their announcements at the Game Awards. They also did, they had a 4-character, slate in the DLC, but they already came out with extra story content for the 3 characters that they already released, which were Lydia, Eddie Gordo, and Heihachi. right? So, Tekken characters, right? From all different eras, right? So they threw them all in and they put extra story content together with those three characters, which would basically leave out the last character. So because of that, I don't think that the last character is going to be a Tekken character, because if it were Anna or Julia or Armor King, why not put him in the story, right? So I'm thinking that we're going to get maybe Akira, Sarah, maybe Kiryu from Yakuza or something. But I just think that there's going to be some sort of probably Virtua Fighter or Sega related thing, at least put in Tekken, and will probably be the last guest character.
Yeah, I think that would be a great way to lead into a Virtua Fighter. And as far as I'm aware, we're the only ones that are saying this. I haven't heard anyone else saying this. Everyone's saying Tifa, or I've even heard some weird off the wall, it's going to be an anime character or something like that. Right. And I just don't see it. It just seems like,
Dead.
Yeah, whoever's alive in The Walking Dead still, if that's still going, I don't even know.
Right.
But there's, Harada's made comments about Virtua Fighter in the past and somewhat recently about, he would put a Virtua Fighter guest character in Tekken if there was a Virtua Fighter 6, So if that is the case, if we get, because they said, they're not going to do the announcement at the end of the Tekken World Tour. They're going to do it, it said later in the winter. So, Game Awards is a few days later. I don't know if that's later enough. It would line up with if there was. Everything is kind of pointing towards there could possibly maybe 70-30 be something that's announced at the Game Awards. Virtua Fighter related, Tekken, Virtua Fighter, Sega, collabo related. But I also wouldn't be surprised if there was nothing. So we're hopeful, but I don't know. And I think, Tekken, what better way to bring Virtua Fighter in, because you get the character in there and possibly even two characters if they did like a look ahead to season 2, and supposedly now they're not allowed to just tease one character at a time. They would have to show what the entire season 2 package is in order to sell it on Steam. And so, very possibly they could show we've got Akira in for the 4th DLC character in season 1, and then we've got Pai as, one of the characters in season 2 or whatever it is. So, it's good tie-in, and that would be a good way to lead into demos, betas and stuff for a new Virtua Fighter. People start to get used to playing 3D fighters again. And, there's been leaks and rumors about this VF6 that people have talked about, that supposedly it is going to be a big tentpole game, big full production, supposed to compete with the likes of Street Fighter and Tekken, full featured, everything. So, that would be the dream. I just don't know.
Yeah, I definitely, I don't know. I feel like I can see it happening, but, I feel like the biggest issue, of course, is I know Harada, being Japanese and being in Japan when Virtua Fighter came out and it being a big deal. It was a fairly big deal here too at that time, to see a 3D fighting game. But is it popular enough? Will they make enough money if they don't add, someone from an Amazon series, right? Because last time
Bluey.
we got
maybe they'll put Bluey in the game.
Oh my god! After they put Negan in the game, I could see them putting anyone, But and that's kind of been the thing. So I actually do agree with the whole there may be two characters thing, mostly because to me, it would make more sense to put like Akira and Sarah in the game because I just feel like Akira himself is just not strong enough of a character, especially in this modern day where you got totally new fans. Because I'm always thinking about, I'm like, damn, if you were born in 2000, now, yeah, I mean, you're about to be 25, so you got this whole new era of, adult gamers who weren't, who have never even actually seen a full blown. In all honesty, yes, if you could almost be an adult aged gamer at this point in time and have never seen a new Virtua Fighter even be released because Virtua Fighter 5 came out in 2006. Virtua Fighter 5, 2006. So if you'd be 18, which I mean, it's still young, but I mean, technically you're an adult. But yeah, you never even seen a Virtua Fighter be released, and then so you're gonna throw this, karate gi guy in the game. They just be like, this is Ryu with spiky hair.
Right, unless, maybe, and I think this would be great too, if there is a VF6, if we get, mature, sophisticated art design, maybe some new designs, so if they had something, maybe maybe they make him look really dope or something, I don't know. I mean, that can go a long way, just having a new look for the character that's a little different from just Ryu or, all the other white wearing Japanese men.
Right. No, I mean that is the truth. And I mean, again, it's not Sega, but we did see a new costume, like a whole new look for Mai in the new Fatal Fury game. But then I found it very interesting that when Capcom announced their trailer, they made her look like they gave her a classic costume. So maybe for Sega, it'll be like the opposite. You'll get this new look in Tekken to kind of match the whole Tekken vibe. And then maybe in the real game, I mean, I'm sure they'll still have that look because why else would you make this whole new look in their game? But they'll probably focus on classic costumes too and stuff like that. But yeah, so
the only thing is if you put Akira in the game and he has, heat mode and rage arts and stuff, and then I would think VF6 would have to have some new mechanics as well because you can't give him all these power moves that Tekken 8 has, and then Virtua Fighter 6 is just a bare bones, fisticuffs game like it always has been.
Shit, I'll take it. I mean, I know what you mean though, but yeah, that is, I mean, yeah, if we get into, hopefully one day in 2037 when they do announce Virtua Fighter 6, we actually sit down and have a discussion about it, I will go more into depth on, because that is one thing for me, man. I do honestly hope that they don't put one button supers. I don't want there to be any supers in the game. I'll accept a comeback mechanic, but good Lord. So, I don't know. Well, we'll see. I mean, we're dealing with a lot of speculation here. We got more speculation coming up because that's all you get from Sega is what you could speculate what they're gonna do because they never do anything. There was also recently a large delisting of Sega games from almost all platforms, right? Steam, PlayStation, whatever. And this got a lot of people ticked off. But again, happening so close to the Game Awards, where they just announced 5 classic games coming back, I have a very, very strong belief that delisting was because all of these games will be coming back in some way, shape, or form. Now, I know in one of our Gaiden, side episodes, we did discuss collections and re-releases, so hopefully we don't get any overlap here. I'm an old man, I don't remember what I said. But I think we will see some classic re-releases from Sega, maybe even announced at the Game Awards. Maybe a new Sega Genesis collection, because that last one honestly was kind of bad. People making this big deal out of it. This is your last day to get the collection. In my mind, I'm like, don't buy it. The online sucks. Right. some of the sound sucks. So it'll be great to get a new one. They did delist some of the very few 3D era games that they had on there too. So hopefully we get something with at least Virtua Fighter, Knights. It'll be great to see Burning Rangers come back, which that's like a dream. But yeah, Virtua Fighter 2, Virtua Fighter 3 even. Jet Grind Radio 1, which they have re-released that before, and I think they had already delisted that from some platforms, as well as Crazy Taxi. And so, yeah, it would just, be cool to see this stuff come back, and maybe one nice big Sega collection that hopefully we can get on disc, or something else. Hopefully they do not re-release Sega games on mobile phones like they did with Sega Forever, get us all hyped for a bunch of junk. So yeah, Queasy, you got any thoughts on Sega collections or re-releases now that we've seen this delisting?
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, the best Genesis collections that we've gotten were like Sonic Mega Collection Plus, and probably that Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection, which I think was on PS3 360 era. Those are real nice. And then you got into the, what was it, D3 or whatever that was doing basically just like porting ROMs or putting ROMs out on digital releases, and sounds weren't right, like you said. The stupid menu that makes no sense with the TV and everything. It was just not good. So it would be nice to see. And I think I mentioned previously, just like some cream of the crop games. You can skip Mean Bean Machine. You can skip Virtua Fighter 2, the Genesis version. You can skip all of that junk, eSWAT, and just put out the cream of the crop stuff. And then really to finally acknowledge, because Sega, you got Master System, you got Game Gear, you got Genesis, but you've got other stuff too. You've got the Sega Saturn, you've got the Dreamcast, you've got even 32X and Sega CD. Let's see some offerings from those eras as well, outside of just, we've always, like you said, Knights, we've seen that, but let's see some 3D stuff represented for once, and in a good form with some widescreen, remastered sound, whatever you got to do, but just like a good final special edition collection that we can all hold on to and treasure for a long time, instead of just waiting for the next iteration of it. And I don't know. That last one, like you said, was pretty terrible. The only upside was playing Light Crusader and discovering that game for the first time, but haven't been real impressed with a lot of these Genesis releases. And it's just always the same. How many times can they re-release Gain Ground and Flicky and all this stuff that nobody wants?
Right.
And just completely ignore. I wouldn't even be mad if they were like, here's Bug and Bug 2. Those aren't easy to just play. You got to hook up the Saturn and do all of that stuff, or somehow have the PC version. But it's like, come on, let's get to it. Sega away team. Let's get some representation.
Yeah, no, that's it. Now you gotta really be a Sega old man to know that that dev team.
Sega away team.
And the honestly the biggest thing for me is I don't think we've gotten a legitimate version, because I know you mentioned that Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection on the PS3, and I don't remember this, but apparently you can't play Sonic 3 and Knuckles on that.
Yeah, that's true. You can on Mega Collection Plus.
So yeah, so we haven't now. Yeah, we haven't got a real release of S3 and K since the PS2 era. I know it's on the little Sonic Classics, whatever, the new thing, but I'm not playing that game with that music. I've tried. I've thought about it. I meditated on it. I spoke with my priest about it. I've done everything. That music is not happy. It's no. It's only 3 songs, but it's the 3 songs.
Yeah.
So
Well, and the one on Sonic's Ultimate Genesis Collection does have the original songs, so that
right, yeah,
it doesn't have Sonic and Knuckles as the conclusion to the game, but it does have those songs.
have the
So
real
I
songs.
give it I give it points just for that alone.
No, exactly. And I mean, and I've always liked, Vanilla Sonic 3 just because of the other songs that you get in it, that you don't get from Sonic and Knuckles, like the Knuckles theme and all of that. So I mean, it probably is still worth having just for that because of course this last Genesis collection, the Genesis collection did not have Sonic 3 on it at all or Sonic and Knuckles, right?
Hmm.
So we've only gotten them on that Sonic specific collection, but then you got that fake music, and then yeah, even that. And I mean, I feel like I mean, yeah, I feel like we deal with Sega, like other Sega stuff, so much because we do get so much Sonic. But yeah, I mean, I'll take Sonic R. I'll take Sonic the Saturn version of 3D Blast.
Hmm.
I most certainly, um, Queasy may disagree with me on this one, but give me Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, on the PS5.
Oh yeah, no, we
Okay,
should have
yeah,
those. We should have those.
you know.
Even Sonic Heroes. I mean, why not?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, yeah, because we just got Generations, which is relative to these games is much later, but yeah, I mean, give us give us those 3D era games. So yeah, come on, Sega, we need stuff. We need stuff. I think another game series that I think should deserve maybe its own thing separate from any like collections in my mind is Fantasy Star.
Hmm.
And I think I probably have discussed this before. I do see that recently they're making a Fantasy Star tabletop game, which is, interesting. But I think another thing that they could easily do, which I'm not promoting, but is a reason why they would make a new game, is since they do have an MMO out. If you make a Fantasy Star collection, that's just really more, promotion for that MMO, right? JRPGs are hot, you know. You got Star Ocean re-releases, you got Suikoden coming back. You got these Dragon Quest re-releases. Let's throw Fantasy Star right in there. It'd be great to see a HD 2D Fantasy Star, but if not, just give us a collection of games, and maybe even a new single player one. But they definitely have. To me, Fantasy Star has always been one that's kind of just sitting there that could definitely do some decent classic JRPG numbers, right? Like in my mind, I don't see a Fantasy Star collection being any less profitable than the Star Ocean HD 2D. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It may not hit the numbers of Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy, but it can do Star Ocean numbers.
Yeah, I mean, what about like a racing collection or something like that?
Well, yeah,
Yeah, maybe not as a stand, as a downloadable or something like that. Cost $10 or something. But I mean, it'd be nice to have whatever they call it, Sega Racing Classic / Daytona with Sega Rally. You could throw Hang On, Outrun in there,
right.
Sega GT. All of that stuff. That'd be nice to have.
No, exactly, and that's another thing too that we probably have mentioned, but yeah, they've re-released enough of those games within Yakuza, so yeah, why not just port them separately, and boom, put them in a collection. So
Hmm.
yeah, so I'm definitely up for that, and I mean, yeah, I mean if they have Mitsuyoshi back. And they don't have the Daytona license. Just have this dude make a brand new song called Sega Racing Classic, and he just comes out and screams Sega the way he screams Daytona. I mean, I'll take it,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
Shit.
It's Sega or something like that. Yeah, you could just
Exactly.
play with the syllables a little bit and you could get it to work.
You know. So, so yeah, so well, you know, with that said, we have a lot of other things that we're hoping to see at the Game Awards with these collections and, maybe even an update on VF5 REVO or, maybe Pirate Yakuza. But in terms of the big five, right? So Shinobi, Jet Grind Radio, Crazy Taxi, Golden Axe.
Streets of Rage.
Good God, how could I forget Streets of Rage? It's you know, in my mind, I'm like, you know, it's still not real that there's even more Streets of Rage stuff, even though it's been happening since 2020. So, I'll let you hit this one first, Queasy. What do you think we're gonna be seeing
At the Game Awards?
Yeah, at the Game Awards.
I think so. I mean, there has to be something, right? I'm not gonna say there will be something, but there has to be something. And it's been a whole year. You know, this is the place, this is the time. So, I mean, anything. So, I mean, Virtua Fighter would be like, I feel like it would be the dream, but also it would be kind of like, well, what about all those other games? Right. You got 5 other games and we still don't know anything about them. So it'd be great to see Virtua Fighter, but ideally you'd get Virtua Fighter plus maybe 1 or 2 updates on some of these other games. So I'm feeling like furthest along in development is Jet Set Radio, Shinobi, and possibly Crazy Taxi. Okay. So it would be nice to get an update on 1 or 2 of those. Shinobi's gotta be close, right? I mean, that's one of the games that we've actually seen some leaked footage of. Looks really nice, looks really smooth, looks very polished. It's 2D. You know, you got a dev team that is just turning along nice and good after Streets of Rage 4. Got some good experience. They got to have some more money, some more resources now. So I think that something's got to be close on that, right? And then Jet Set Radio, this would seem to be like, out of all those 5 games, this is probably the one that they're hoping is going to make the biggest splash. It's going to be the coolest game with the music and everything. So something. Be great to see an act, just like a dedicated trailer to 1 or 2 of these games, with a release window even.
Right.
That would be nice. A date would be great, but a date wouldn't be great if it was like 2 years from now. So I mean, we've heard rumors too that these games are like 2026 offerings, and that would just seem to be completely ridiculous. So if we could get a trailer that says, you know, spring 2025 or even summer or something like that, that's acceptable. I would like to see that, with some new things, maybe explain some of the features in the games, new updates and things that we're going to see in Jet Set Radio with their whole build your rep mechanic or whatever they're adding into that, or Crazy Taxi with all of the MMO focus that they're looking at with that. So that'd be nice. And then they should still, even if they do that, they should still do Virtua Fighter as well. But again, and I hate to keep saying it, I would not be surprised if there was just nothing, or if the Sega announcement was like just some kind of new Genesis collection or something. And that would be very sad, and we would have to come back on this podcast and say some things that we would later regret.
Nah, I mean, definitely. I mean, yeah. So I guess from my end, I do agree that Shinobi is one of the farther along ones, and I think it's the only one where we have a very clear, even though it's not clear, but we have a very clear idea of who is developing it. Mm-hmm. And they haven't come right out and said it, but number one, you can look at it and tell it's Lizard Cube, and then they've posted so many little hints and stuff on their Twitter. So to me, it seems like they would be, ripe to, post some new news and actually get their promotion going. Because on a total side note, I'm just thinking, because I'm looking at their page and it's like, Virtua Fighter, Streets of Rage 4 came out 2020, and then they probably ran on that for like 2 years, and then it seems like now in the meantime they've been developing Shinobi, but they can't say anything. Like if you go to their Twitter, they're just like posting, oh yeah, 30th anniversary of Bubsy, what a great game, like they don't have anything to say, So
maybe that's their secret project all along.
right? Yeah, they're actually not doing Shinobi, So yeah, it's like like they can't even do anything in this meantime. So I'm sure that they would be happy to finally get back to being active on social media, talking about a new game. So yeah, so I think that will be one of the ones that we do see, and I hope so. And a lot of that is also because I think that may be the best one. The other games, yeah, I mean, I honestly can't even say anything other than I hope that we get some release windows and that they're not ridiculous. When it comes to the Golden Axe, Crazy Taxi, and Jet Grind Radio, I mean, at this point, I just hope that they're good, and I hope that I'm sure all those games will be varying levels of, gaming level. What I mean, like, Jet Grind Radio could be a AA type title, whereas Golden Axe could be like almost a mobile game level,
Mm-hmm.
I just hope Streets of Rage is good. What they showed so far has looked kind of weird to me. But I felt the same way about Streets of Rage 4 when I first saw it. And that ended up, that Streets of Rage 4 is, I like it better than Streets of Rage 1, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Maybe even better than 3. But yeah, I mean this new one, I mean that 3D look first of all was strange, and then it just seemed like I couldn't really make sense of how the game would even play. So I don't know. I'm just really, being a big Streets of Rage fan, I'm just really nervous about that one. Hope that we do get to see something, more, to get a clearer idea of what the game actually is, that we get a decent release window, and that whatever they're making is not going to just be some, 5 out of 10. Because, I mean, Streets of Rage only has 4 major releases, and all of those are 9s out of 10s. No exaggeration. So, you just don't want to see that legacy destroyed. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I can say, because, I mean, shit, in reality, what can you say? Because Sega hasn't given us anything. They gave us 5 little sneak peeks and then said, more coming and more. And I guess, okay, I feel like we have discussed this before, but given what little information we've gotten over this year, they did very specifically say and more, right?
Right.
So to me, it seems like all of these games that are coming out are not going to be numbered sequels. They'll either be just called Jet Grind Radio, or they'll be called Shinobi subtitle. But I didn't get the sense that we'd be getting like numbered sequels.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, I kind of like don't think of Virtua Fighter 6 as included in that and more. What other, if you just had to pick one game now that you think that they would actually do either a relaunch of, or like a new subtitled entry and be included in that and more, basically a game that they're going to do in this same fashion as these other 5, what franchise would you think we would see?
Oh boy. I don't. I mean, I had said Sonic Adventure 3 would be a great. I think that would be a great breadwinner for them. That would build a lot of excitement for people, because people have been asking for a return to that for a long time. But as far as just like a reboot or something, or I mean, they've got pretty much all the major ones, unless they did the Altered Beast or something like that. Or what about like a survival horror or something? I mean, they don't really. I mean, a House of the Dead, maybe, to kind of go into the whole the PT craze. I mean, what better franchise to steal from the PT Resident Evil 7 type of gameplay than House of the Dead? I mean, you're already in a house. There's already weird zombie stuff going on. So that could be something maybe. And they don't really have any kind of horror franchises going right now. So I could see something like that.
So yeah, I mean, and because they did do, they did just do like just flat upscaled re-releases of at least House of the Dead 1. I know recently, and so
We need new typing of the dead. That's what we need.
oh my god, actually yeah, that's the
Teach these Zoomers how to type, instead of autocomplete and everything.
no, that was a classic, if you will. But no, I mean, House of the Dead could definitely be dope. That could definitely be dope. Especially yeah, like you said, if they kind of did it in a whole survival horror way. Because I mean, you maybe they could mix it in some sort of way with what was that one called on the Saturn?
What, D?
No, not D. The which I mean, also a classic, but the other that survival horror game. I remember the character's name is Mookie.
Deep Fear.
Yeah, Deep Fear. Yeah. But yeah, somehow, mix it with that. But yeah, I mean,
Deep Fear Carrier. Yeah, they're basically the same game.
right, yeah, So yeah, I think one of those. I do still think, I think if you just wanted to call a game Phantasy Star, I mean, I've talked on that already in this podcast, but I think that would be another good one.
Didn't they do a Shining Force that was like if we had made the joke of like if you type in generic anime mobile game and a bunch of pictures come up and it looks exactly like the new Shining Force.
Yeah, no, yeah, they did, yeah, well, yeah, it was Shining. I think we're talking about Shining Resonance, maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was damn. That was already 10 years ago.
Wow.
It doesn't seem like it, but yeah, because I mean and I think maybe that was the initial release, but they did like an updated version, and it is on like PS4 and Switch and all that. So maybe that's why it doesn't seem like it was that old. But yeah, Shining Resonance Refrain, and that silly 2010s era of Japanese sequel names, good lord, Refrain. But yeah, so yeah, they did do that one. So yeah, it would be good to. I mean, nobody's thinking about Shining Force. I mean, hey, bring it back, but bring it back after Phantasy Star. But yeah,
the full, that'd be a good re-release. A full re-release of Shining Force 3 in English, because it was released in 3 parts,
right?
And the first part only made it to the States, and the other 2 remain 100% in Japanese. So.
Yeah, that is the weird thing about Sega is like you always have these people that say like, oh, they don't have any games, they don't have this, they don't have that, but a lot of their stuff, to me, it almost is like they do have a lot of stuff. They've just never released it in a good fashion. It's
right.
Either on platforms that few people played, or it only came out in Japan, or it only came out on one of the 3, GameCube, PS2, Xbox. Imagine the numbers Jet Set Radio Future could do if it was just released from the OG Xbox. And I mean, and it don't get me wrong, I mean, it has a lot of fans there, especially since they gave it away as a free pack-in game for a while, but you can give it away as a free pack-in game all you want to on the Xbox. It's not going to touch it's not going to touch that PS2 player base, So, and I mean, there were a bunch of Sega sequels on just the Xbox. And then, like you mentioned, we have, Shining Force 3, which, like you said, was released in like separate parts, and then only in Japan. And, because it was only like one of the parts came to the US, right? And so,
the first part,
and I mean, just, so many things. So, yeah. Definitely a lot of things we could see, but
Yeah, I mean, what if they surprise you with like 3 new games to add to
Oh, like
to add to the
the add to the
5?
pile, yeah, Burning Rangers. What would the other two be? Space Channel 5, and
Yeah, probably.
and Dynamite Heady.
Yeah, Dynamite Head, a new Dynamite Head. I'll tell you, Ristar, Vector Man,
Oh
I
yeah,
would be okay
no,
with
for
those.
certain Ristar. They give us a.
Ristar cross Vector Man, that'd be dope.
And it's okay, and it's one of those things too where I think we have a lot more lanes for these games now, where like I think fighting game developers, I think we've seen this with Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, where they're like, okay, look, if you just make a game and you release character trailers for a whole year, it doesn't matter how much depth your game has, you're gonna sell millions of copies at launch. And at the end of the day, that's all we care about, right? So we'll get we'll get what would normally have been a 3-year time frame, millions of copies in a game. We'll get it at launch, right? So I think some of these developers realize some of these new pathways for game selling, thanks to social media and Twitch and all that. So like, it's got me thinking, like, nobody is going to probably think a new Echo game is like a new classic, but you remember that game that came out, Man Eater, that shark game, and how it kind of got this really interesting Twitch scene for a while, because it's like, it's an RPG, but you play as a shark. You could easily do that with Echo.
Oh, yeah.
Just drop that as a Twitch game. Advertise it on Twitch, get a bunch of streamers involved, get a bunch of animal lovers involved, and drop it and let it sit on the shelves for 2 months and never look at it again. I mean, I'm not saying this is the stuff we would want to happen per se, but
No, I mean, Echo.
it's the
Echo
way the
needs
world
royal
works.
treatment. Echo, you need to have a golden chalice filled with Hennessy XO when you're drinking, when you're
playing Echo,
drinking and playing Echo. That's
be,
what you need.
This is not a small game. Basically, what you're saying is going to be like the new Elden Ring. This is a big release.
That's what. Honestly, yes. Elden Ring underwater.
Hey, I mean, as long as we get the game.
If you're hip to the whole vibe of Defender of the Future, I mean, don't play it, but read the strategy guide.
Watch Queasy's videos.
Yeah, exactly, from 10 years ago or whatever. Then you will see that it has a certain flavor to it that is very sophisticated, and that needs to be continued.
Well, let's see. And there it is. So, hey, we got all this other Sega junk, right? Like Streets of Rage and Sonic and Yakuza. Why not just have Echo? But yeah, so, either way, hopefully we see some good stuff here. Hopefully, yeah, we have a very, it's been a very crowded past few years for games anyway, with re-releases and a lot of stuff coming out. So hopefully Sega can find their way into this. Hopefully they can make some noise, and hopefully they can bring back, a little, even just a little piece of what they were, so we will see. Any other parting thoughts, Queasy, before we have to suffer through the anxiety of the Game Awards next Thursday?
It's 5 more days, right? So, yeah, I mean, Game Awards on the 12th, and yeah, that is definitely the word, suffering through the nonsense, and I mean, that's no one really cares about the gaming awards, the gamer awards, whatever it's called, the Game Awards. It's just a vehicle for announcements and trailers that gets people to watch. So, I don't care what they crown as the game of the year. It's just irrelevant to me. Same with all of the categories. I just have zero interest in any of that. So it'll be purely for the announcements and all of that. So I guess we'll I guess we'll see, and then we'll be back to give our hot takes at some point very soon.
Well, that works for me. Hopefully, in the next podcast, I am not yelling and shouting expletives about Streets of Rage. So, you know,
it might be fun.
Right, right. You know. So there it is. So, yeah, it's the, quote unquote 1 year anniversary of No Sega for Old Men. And we will be seeing you guys very soon. So stay tuned for this next podcast. You heard our predictions. So come back to hear our reactions. And so that's all for this one. And we'll be seeing you guys again soon. I'm Marz Eternal.
And I'm Queasy Crayfish.
And we're out of here. Peace.